Hello and welcome to day 18. Today we're going to talk about what happens in your brain when your values and your habits don't line up. Take me for instance. I try to put my health and well-being as my top priority throughout the week, but I then often end up stressing out, eating donuts, eating too much Nutella, and basically slacking on exercise. So in that way, my value system of having a healthy body and a healthy mind don't line up with my actual behaviors. And this causes some unease in my brain, or background anxiety. Researchers call this cognitive dissonance. This is just a fancy way of saying that when you want to do something but end up doing something else, your brain kind of goes into a whirlwind. And what happens in the brain is your reticular activating system, which is in the back of your brain. It's your wakefulness system. It's what when teachers say sit up straight, that's what system gets activated. This is also the system that gets activated when we go against our value system. So when this happens, we become alert, more awake of what's going on around us, and our alarm bells start ringing. So every time I kind of reach for that, third piece of chocolate, that reticular activated system goes off. But as a culture, we've become very adept at ignoring this natural system that tells us how we want to behave and how that fits in with our value system. We ignore it through overconsumption, overeating, social media, internet, alcohol, drugs, you name it. We're pretty good at quieting that background whispering that tells us to do something else and moving on and doing what we want to do instead. Alcohol is particularly adept at this because alcohol floods that brainstem while you're drinking, and it also clogs your prefrontal cortex through amyloid plaque. Your brain has a ton of blood vessels running through it, which are like little sewer pipes. And when those get blocked up through use of alcohol and drugs, then information can't get to where it needs to go. So that area of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, when you're drinking or using drugs, gets blocked. So your rational judgment, your forward thinking also get blocked. Your impulse control blocked. So the only part of your brain that's left is the I want system. So for alcohol in particular, your reticular activating system, your value system gets blocked up, and your rational judgment system. So only the I want system's on board. So you end up, for instance, driving home when you shouldn't because you want to get home to your bed. You then get a DUI. The night before, the wrong alarm bells were ringing, but you couldn't hear them. But when you wake up in a jail cell, they certainly are. So I'm not giving you a free pass to kind of blame alcohol for all your problems, but alcohol is particularly adept at quieting that cognitive dissonance that we all have when we go against our own systems. So to regain homeostasis, say for someone who got a DUI, they have a number of different options. They can change their behavior, stop drinking and driving, or drink less, and that kind of evens everything else. Because cognitive dissonance is when your values, your thoughts, and your behaviors don't line up. So if you change your behavior to go back to respecting the community and being a good community member, then everything's okay. Your brain kind of quiets down. So you can change your behavior, or you could change your thoughts about how you did it. So think about what you did, try to do better next time. Or the more kind of lower road is rationalizing your behavior and saying, well, everyone else was doing it, I'm not so bad. And therefore you get some of that unease, but your value system says, I still want to be a good community member. So the worst, most destructive way to do this is to change your value system, to kind of go and say, hey, I'd rather have fun with my friends than respect the community. So that's kind of the most destructive way to do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you don't take all this into account, those symptoms that start small will just get bigger and bigger. If your values and your behaviors don't line up, if your habits are different than who you want to be, then you'll start having internal kind of pain and suffering that will take a long time to go away. So you might as well start that process now. So for today's self-reflection, we're going to write down some of our values just so they're pretty clear, and we can put them down on paper so we can't ignore them as sufficiently the next time. And something that I try to remember every time I'm faced with one of these decisions, oftentimes we come up with a decision of, can I do it? Will I get away with it? What are the pros and cons? Is it something that at this juncture I can have no problem with rationalizing? But instead of asking yourself, can you, ask yourself, should I? Because when you do that, you activate a different part of your brain, the value system. And so you start asking yourself, is this who I want to be? Is this what I want to be known for? And then you end up making better decisions in the long run. So the point I'm trying to make is try to get your values, your thoughts, and your behaviors in line, and don't ignore them, or the symptoms just get worse and worse, and your life will get more stressful. That's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.